Hi.
Hi.
Can you explain your job?
So I help people see where pressure is building up in a way that they can take it out of what's inside of them and put it into something else like Lego.
What do you find calming about it?
So taking out the pressure and putting it outside of me is very calming. And also Lego is a slow practice, right? It's slow when you build Lego, yeah.
What do you do to actually help someone?
So I ask them questions about where they are feeling pressure, where they've got pressure in their life, so they can understand whereabouts the pressure is coming from, because that's really helpful. Because sometimes when people are under pressure, they don't actually stop and think about, where is it coming from? And it often is coming from a place they didn't expect. So I help them map where their pressure is coming from, but I do that through getting them to work with Lego, because there is a part of them that actually can do that really, really well. And when I ask them questions about it, part of them can do that by building the Lego, and then they can start to see. And once they start to see that, then they can start to change that pressure. But whilst it's inside of you, it's hard to know, right?
Who would you invite to dinner and why?
So I think I would invite Walt Disney, because he was the person that created Disneyland, and I think he had an incredible vision. Is still around today, and that was back in the 1950s. He created Disneyland, so I'd love to, and I just think he's incredibly creative, so I would love to invite Walt Disney.
What would you make?
Well, I have a favourite chef called Ottolenghi, and I really like his food, and I've got lots of his cookbooks, so I would make an Ottolenghi salad and then maybe one of his meat dishes as well. Yeah.
Would you make dessert or would you buy dessert?
No, I make dessert. So I love making trifle, and I have these really great champagne glasses, the old-fashioned ones that are, not the long ones, but the wide ones. Yeah. And then I put the sponge fingers in there and put jelly over the top, and then put the fruit and then the custard and the...
What made you start your company in the first place?
I've been doing it for a long time, but this most recent work that I'm doing with pressure systems is because I kept seeing the same patterns in people. I kept seeing them being really stuck, and I also saw people suffering a lot, and I didn't like that. And I know that the work that I do can make a very big difference for people, and I'm really interested in being able to help people have dignity and understand who they are and why they're really amazing. And also I'm really interested in helping people have choice, because sometimes people end up not getting any choice, and I'm really interested in giving that back to people.
How many years have you been working with your company, and how many times would you see people change their lives around?
So I actually started last century. Does that make me sound old?
Maybe, just depends.
But it's taken many different, it's changed a lot over time. And so most recently, I was retrenched and I left corporate, and I decided that this was a really good time to start my business, because I think that I've got something really important to give to the world, give back.
So given you talk to a lot of people, have you ever struggled with yourself talking with these people?
Even when I started school, for the first 6 weeks of school, I cried every day until my mother would come and pick me up. And I have struggled for most of my life because I couldn't understand my brain, and I didn't even know that that was something I was struggling with. And so it's only just in the last 6 months I've started to understand my brain, and that's made the world of difference for me.
Oh, is this like a recent business?
Well, and this is also part of why I'm starting my business, because I wonder if there's lots of people like me that are also having that experience. It's really hard when you have to struggle and you don't know what's going on with you, and also when you don't feel like you're quite fit. And I felt like I didn't fit in my whole life, and I didn't know why. And so it was only just recently I've started to understand that. But the other thing is that I'm now starting to really embrace what's really unique and special about me, and I think everybody has that.
What does pressure mean in a person's life?
So pressure's a really interesting thing. It's often not noticeable, and it kind of builds up, and we don't often notice it at first, but it can be there, and it kind of, you know, it kind of is adding. And then what can happen is there might be a change or like a trigger, and that change, you know, and it might be something like, you know, a change can be a change in the weather, right? Or it might be, you know, you move house, or it might be, you know, like a change, like there's lots of changes that we deal with in life, right? And so it might be a change, and that might then be a trigger event where the pressure becomes really obvious, and it kind of builds up in your body, and it kind of builds up in your emotions, and it's where everything starts to feel like it's too much. And it's just like it's too much information, or it's too much stuff coming in, or it's too much emotion, or there's lots of too much, right? And it's different for different people. But it's when it gets like that and you then you just feel like you can't manage things anymore. So when there's no pressure, you're kind of, you know, fine and everything's really great. But it's when the pressure builds up, something triggers that pressure, and then it becomes too much, and then people end up, you know, being at the effect end of the pressure, I guess.
And how do you include Lego with the people you work with, and why is it Lego? I'm just wondering, why isn't it something else like a small bouncy ball or fidget spinner or toy cars?
Well, it could be. It could be.
Why Lego?
Well, I mean, who doesn't like Lego? Come on, right?
Yes.
And plus, you know, I've got a really nice bag for my Lego, right? So,
Yes.
you know, and people have a really nice relationship with Lego. You know, like most people have a really positive, you know, it's playful, right?
Yes.
And so I think that's why Lego is a nice way of being able to help people find out what's inside of them and then build it so it's outside of them. But you don't have to use Lego. Like you could just, you might use paper and pens, or you might use a fidget spinner, or you might hold something, you know, that's got a memory, or it could be something else. But I think Lego has all these different ways that you can take a piece and you put on the piece, and then you get a story about what you're building, right? So what I would do is I ask people questions about the pressure. Like if I said to you, okay, you've got 5 minutes and you've got to build what pressure looks like right now. Immediately like, I don't know what that is. Doesn't matter. Just build it anyway, right? And so you build it, and then we go around the room and I say, okay, so tell me about what you've built. And you start to tell a story about the pressure, and then as soon as you start to tell that story, you start to go, oh, I'm starting to see how the pressure is now in my life, and I've never seen that before. And then I might ask you a question like, so if you moved one piece, how might that change the pressure? And that immediately starts giving you a different way of seeing it. And automatic, because often people are like, feel stuck in their pressure, and they're like, I'm really stuck, I don't know how to get out of this, it's the same recurring thing over and over again. And so when you put it into Lego and you ask people a simple question like, what's the piece you could change that might change this recurring thing for you, then all of a sudden people start to go, oh golly, I do have a choice. I didn't think I had a choice with this, but actually I do, you know. So that's one of the ways that people, you know, how I help people see what's inside of them and put it outside of them.
How do people behave when they're under pressure?
Yeah, so they can do lots of different things, right? And the interesting thing is that they change from who they kind of are, right?
That's me as well.
Is it? Yeah, and it might be they freeze up, or they might shut down. Right, that's another one. Or they might get really loud. Or it might be that they go in their head and they start thinking a lot, you know, like they're just analysing a lot. Or they might cry. Or so pressure's an interesting one. And if somebody's been under pressure for a long time, they start to change quite a lot. And, you know, I think it's a bit like becoming a human pretzel, right? And I certainly became one, like I kept changing and adapting.
Yeah.
And it's not that there's anything wrong with that. And in fact, as human beings, we're really, really good at adapting. We're really good at changing based on what we're having to deal with. And so the pressure creates the change. So it's not that we're wrong, we're not actually. It's more that we're changing to adjust and adapt to the pressure, and that's how human beings are amazing like that.
What would you like to be best remembered for when you die?
I would like to be remembered for helping people understand that it's not their fault, and that they just, weren't fitting with the system that they were in, right? And that we've all had that experience of where we just don't fit. We feel like we just don't fit. And I want to give people back that it's never been their fault, and help them understand that they've always been awesome and amazing and really special.
Why do people sometimes feel like they've lost themselves?
Yeah, because I do believe that there is a part of us that is like our true nature and our true instinct, and it knows the path we need to take. But sometimes we lose that inner voice, and for many reasons, right? It might get frightened or hurt, and so it hides. And then we get disconnected from that part of ourselves. And so then we start looking for answers in other things, And I think that this is a common thing that happens, actually, and particularly for people once they get older, maybe. I lost myself really early in my life, actually. And so, and then you don't know who you are anymore. And so that's why I'm interested in helping people who might be lost to help come back to themselves and find themselves.
How long did it take to find yourself again?
Well, I was 60 last year. And so it's taken me 60 years. Well, probably, I lost myself, I don't know, probably under the age of 5. And I've been looking for myself ever since. And I've only just started to come back to myself. So it's been, an interesting journey.
And what exactly did you do to find yourself?
Yeah.
Was it, did you dive into hobbies, art or something?
Yeah, a little bit, but also actually it was understanding part of what my work's about is that I didn't quite know what was going on with my brain. And so then what happened was I started to see a pattern keep showing up in my behaviour all the time, and then I realised, hang on a second, maybe I should go and talk to somebody about this. And so I did, and I discovered that I've got a really interestingly wired brain, and that's been really helpful to start to understand that, because I had been mislabeling it, I've been calling it something else, and actually I'm not that at all. I'm actually, cognitively diverse, and I've got ADHD, both types, and probably some other stuff chucked in there as well, like autism, and yeah.
What do you have to help people with confidence again?
Yeah, help them find their confidence. So it's really interesting. Confidence is an interesting thing, right? Because a lot of people say, you just got to fake it till you make it, right? But that's not true at all. And that's actually not what confidence is, not in my work. What confidence is really about is if you've been lost and you're not quite sure what's been happening, like in terms of pressure, and you can build that in Lego and you can understand, oh, that's why I do that thing, or that's why I'm feeling the pressure.
Oh, wow.
Then one of the things that it stops is it stops people blaming themselves, right? Because sometimes we blame ourselves and get cross with ourselves, and because we don't know or we can't solve, a problem. But when people build it in Lego, then they can start to see it's never been your fault. It's never been your fault. It's just that you couldn't see what it was, which is really common for all humans, is that we're terrible at seeing patterns in ourselves. So being able to build that into Lego And then together with being able to realise it's not your fault, you shouldn't be blaming yourself, that then immediately kind of gives people, oh, thank goodness, like a release or a relief. And then what naturally starts to show up is their natural, what's there been all there the whole time, which is a natural confidence, like a natural, because I think we are naturally confident when when we have a supportive environment around us, right?
What makes everyone special?
I think first of all, it's how our brains are all different. So I think everyone's brain is completely different, right? Because brains are amazing things. And then I think what that does is then it gives us a different way of seeing the world, right? And everyone sees the world differently, and everyone expresses how they see the world in different ways, right? And I think that's what makes people really special.
What do you think people need more in life?
I think what people need is they need to understand what's really different about them, and that difference is a gift, and that if people were more able to see that that's a real gift in the world, I think that people would create really amazing things. I think they really would. I think people want to create. I think we're really wired to create really amazing things, but sometimes the pressure gets in the way, and it stops us from seeing that our amazing differences actually can create whole new amazing things into the world that the world needs.
What make you wish you knew?
When I was younger, it's okay, and it's all going to work out. I really wish I had someone who had said that to me, because I was always really worried. I look back at all my photographs when I was really little, and I look really worried. And I wish I had someone who said to me, it's okay, you don't have to worry, it's all right.
How do you think you know about before?
I've been twice. So I went to America, to Disneyland, when I think I was 15 years old. And then I took my son back in 2014 and we went to Disneyland again. And yeah, it's still just as awesome all those years later, I can tell you.
What's the day to look outside?
Yeah, what does a good day look like for somebody I've helped is that they can start to be themselves again, and that they stop blaming themselves, and they can start to actually be, their best self. They're free from all of the pressure that's been getting in the way and stopping them. So that's what good looks like for when I work with somebody and help them on a good day.
Who are your favourite Disney movies?
I think I've got two. So I've got Legally Blonde.
Yes.
Do you know Legally Blonde?
Yeah.
And the other one I've got is All's Fair.
Yeah.
And do you know why? It's actually for both the same reasons. Is in both of those movies, you don't expect the people in those movies to be who they are, and that often people are absolutely incredible, but they get judged for how they look. And that's what I love about those movies, is the people in those. So Reese Witherspoon, who's in Legally Blonde, right? Everyone thinks that she's this real, blonde, ditzy, and she's actually not. She's actually really amazing. And the same with All's Fair. So Kim Kardashian's in that. And so I think people tend to judge people by their looks, and that's actually not who people are at all, and that's why I really like that movie.
How do you know if someone's under pressure?
It'll show in their behaviours. So they might say something, or they might do something that is out of character. So if you know the person, you probably have an automatic, picture in your mind of how that person looks like when they're not under pressure, right? And then when they get under pressure, you might see them acting differently, or they might start saying something differently, or their behaviour changes, and it's different from how they normally are. And so that's how you know when somebody's getting under pressure.
What advice would you give to someone if they're struggling and a little bit behind on life?
That's something people make up. I think it's we create these expectations on ourselves where we think, oh, I need to be here by this age, or I need to have done these things, you know, and that's an expectation we put on yourself. There's no such thing as being behind in life. There's just life, right? There's just life. So I think giving up that expectation is the thing that would make the biggest difference, is there's no such thing.